we're getting into Champion Select for this Game 3. Edward Gaming could very well be eliminated here.
And the big guns are coming out. It's not just Haro, but it is Alistar, the priority pick, the captain, the shot caller. Mako says, give it to me. They didn't ban it, they let it go through, and I am now going to punish them on the signature champion. This is the eject. This is the big red button. This is the not like everything you've got, you need to throw it now.
And look at Clid with the spice, sees the Gragas lock in and follows up with a Kaisa. JD Gaming, not only is the knife in there, but they are twisting it so very slowly by saying, hey, you lost with this comp, we won't.
Yeah, hey, iBoy, let me show you how this champion actually works. Click.
Loken bringing out the heat, but still EDG, they've got to prioritize their bottom lane. It's been their MO since the beginning of time for this team, and we're seeing the exact same thing here, but all eyes need to be on what Haro takes in the jungle and how he plays around his lanes as a result of it.
I'm actually going to push back a little bit on Raz. He's talking about the momentum, the solo queue, the confidence. If I'm Haro and I'm put into, it frankly feels like a lose-lose situation. Haro needs to come in, he looks around, he's like, okay, we're 2 games down? This is deathmatch? I'm Batman? I'm the bat signal? I'm the best guy you could call right now? I'd be mad.
He certainly should be, but LeBlanc is the pickup for Scout in the mid lane. Blind Yagao looking at Malzahar with that Void Shift, with the suppression to lock it down. And as the timer runs out, it gets locked in.
Also another callback from the EULCS where we saw Malzahar earlier on into the playoffs. So JD Gaming definitely been doing a bit of their global, regional research if we've seen a couple of champions come out from them. But I do like the pick from Yagao. The one thing that I don't quite like about it is the lack of mobility. So it's no longer the Rise. 100% agree with Edward Gaming. Take that Rise away. I think it is way too strong a champion. But it still offers a lot of the pick potential and the lockdown that Rise has, obviously with the Malzahar ultimate, but none of the power of the mobility through the Realm Warp. So with Yagao and more of a slower paced champion, is he going to be able to make that much difference and impact across the map that we've seen in game number 1 and game number 2?
Of course, the big follow-up to that is who will be paired up with him? What champion is Clid taking? They've still got the flex of that Gragas. It can go to Lumao, it can go to Zoom, it can go to Clid. Ideally, again, you want Zoom on something that can carry in the top lane, Clid on something that can engage, and that Gragas could be something that does that, as already EDG banning away that top lane.
And here's the big mistake for me, however, is that the Camille was taken away from Haro. By prioritizing the LeBlanc, Desire, and the Alistar, I feel like Edward Gaming have left Haro out to dry. Now, he still has champions like the Kindred that he can reach for, maybe a Trundle, maybe he himself goes for that Dark Harvest Graves, but right now, the big pick for Haro was always going to be his Camille, and he doesn't have it anymore. So comes in, 2 games down, death match, they get him in the chair, and he loses his pocket pick.
Now that Kindred is still open for Haro. We heard from the analyst desk his MVP per Kindred is very high.
Calm down.
Clid with the confidence. I can only wonder what the comms are like right now. It's actually locked in. As he decides to take it, that means that Gragas is going to either Lumao or Zoom.
This is unreasonable. There's no reason for this. You don't need to style on them. They're 2 games down. They're already dead. Let it lie. If you don't know, Clid is one of our signature and resident Lee Sin gods alongside the likes of Flawless.
Now it should be noted for us, they're not dead yet. It's 0-2 in the series. They've still got some life left in them. And Clid looking to get the second hit of that Sonic Wave, that resonating strike for the execution damage to close this series.
I feel like they're a bit on the ground. The count is going, but you're correct. It hasn't been called yet. We'll see if the monuments of the LPL can stand strong.
But that means EDG get a chance to react a little bit to this hubris from Clid. Poppy locked in back for Ray up top with the Aatrox banned away and 4 top laners total. Surely this will be a good matchup for him.
And what's really interesting is now you look at the Lee Sin pick alongside the Poppy, the Xayah, the Alistar, and now even the Olaf. Who's he going to target? Obviously, you would say that he wants to grab the Xayah, but Xayah has so much safety with the ultimate, with the ability to reposition herself, become untargetable. That seems like a risky option. You try to go to Poppy, there's all sorts of ways that she can mess up that combo for you unless you're frame perfect. You grab the Alistar, you're not kicking him back into the team. That's exactly where he wants to be. So Yeah, I'm going to use the word hubris. You said it. I 100% agree. I feel like the Lee Sin pick, not the greatest for how you want to attack Edward Gaming's composition.
I mean, we so often like to mention that JD Gaming played the most games of any team during the regular season at a whopping 50 out of 19 series. That means 12 out of 19 of their games went to Game 3. We say that this is a team that is unfazed by momentum. Well, that also means their own momentum, as they seem to take every game as it comes.
That said, the compositions have been rounded out. It's pretty stock standard across the board. They took away the Rise, but he still has that lockdown potential in the Malzahar. JD Gaming are trying to make history right now. The chat, I'm sure, can feel it. I know the audience can feel it. And I know JingDong, announcing guy, can feel it. Yeah. The momentum, the energy, the blood is in the water. JD Gaming can go for the throat right now.
They could very well end a dynasty and join one of two teams to eliminate Edward Gaming from playoffs. They have been in every single playoff since they have joined the LPL in 2014. And of those 7, they have been in the finals 5 times. This is a huge team, the winningest team. Actually, I believe with last split, it goes to 6 out of 8 times. Yes. Edward Gaming stand at the verge of the new era. They're trying to embrace it with Haro. Will it be enough to equalize this series?
This would be JD Gaming carving their names alongside the likes of 2015 LGD and 2016 Invictus Gaming, the only other 2 teams to ever take Edward Gaming down outside the finals.
And Haro called in to close out this series. You can see the weight on his shoulders as Yagao with a smile as he gets onto the rift. You saw him laughing and smiling as he was making his way onto the stage. JD Gaming, they can see it. They've got the target lined up. They just need to lock it down as the new era could finally be here.
Meanwhile, on the other side, it's Edward Gaming. They've been here a million times before. The collective experience, it's no longer clear love, so everyone turns to Mako on his Alistar. You did it once in 2015. Can you lead Edward Gaming past this and into the semifinals towards that date with Destiny, the RNG EDG final that everyone expects?
The one that everyone wants. But now it's time for us to load onto the Rift. JD Gaming with match point over EDG.
JD Gaming fans sure to get much louder. They're already fairly loud if they're able to rocket themselves into the semifinals. And EDG may be doing their best Worlds cosplay if they drop out in quarterfinals here.
We are so brutal sometimes. Ay, 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 Edward Gaming. You're the winningest team in the history of the LPL. Could this finally be the time that we see the tides of time begin to change?
And it's now, who do we look to on this giant dynasty of EDG? We talked about Mako on his Alistar. He's right out the gate from it. He picks the W. He's like, this does more damage. I'm going to punch him repeatedly in the face. But for me, it's looking at Scout. He's been the most consistent performer for Edward Gaming over the entire course of this series. He's played 3 different champions, and now he's just going to throw down the LeBlanc, and he's going to say, we keep losing these side lanes. I'm going to be able to play side lanes. I'm going to be able to play team fights. I'm going to be in their face, look for the kills, set me up, I'm ready.
Electrocute, Ignite, and already taking the lane advantage over Yagao with a Corrupting Potion, late activation, to make sure that he's able to activate that Electrocute and take some trade damage. Now, we do see a little bit of a quick push out from Clid as he takes his own red buff and heads on down to bottom. Scuttle knows that bottom lane is a bit risky, susceptible to any Olaf wackiness.
And there are 2 Ignites on both the support, so it could just be giving the opportunity that not only the Olaf wackiness, but protecting Lumao and Loken, that if they wanted to go for a very early all-in level 2, that they have the freedom to make that type of choice.
There is a defensive ward placed by EDG's bottom lane, so they're going to try to keep it even. But finally, we get a tank versus tank matchup between Ray and Zoom. We've seen him play Poppy already this series. He is very comfortable on the champion. And how perfect it is. Oh, no, that's not Blacksmith Poppy. I thought that's Lala Poppy there. I thought he was taking Blacksmith Poppy against the Forge God.
It'd be cute. My issue, though, is that both these champions kind of do inverse things. Like, yes, they have the ability to start fights, but it's kind of long-range disengage versus long-range engage. And even if Poppy does knock Zoom out, yeah, she can stall some of his you know, fly in and he finds the stun against terrain, but you can't stop the Horn.
Oh no.
Unless you try to time it really carefully when he's trying to hit the ram back, and then you can stop the Horn.
Call of the Forge God could very well be the call of death as Haro looking for a gank bottom, sitting in Tribush, or perhaps just preempting a counter gank. As Lumao, ooh, he's flirting with danger, trying to bait it out. That's the Void Seeker. I don't believe they spotted him. There are the Mia pings.
I feel like he just missed, though.
Ooh, flash knockup from Mako. He's still going to try to force this. The Cutting Feathers do not pull JD back, but that's the undertow, still forcing Lumao's flash.
And it's Lumao who pays the price because Loken is unable to scout that brush with the W. So, unfortunate. We'll see if Haro makes a repeat gank, because there we go, that one connected, stalling out and grabbing some more time and information for Clid, who's on the top side of the map. But already Haro really distinguishing himself from Clearlip. He's much more of a carnivorous jungler. He likes to gank a lot. And speaking of ganks,
ooh, Clid
spotted out.
Roaming around, looking for a gank top, but again, like you said, he has been spotted. Zoom is able to control the wave and force Ray back on this Poppy, as recall has been started. And again, despite the outcome of today's match, you are all well aware JD have locked in their spots into the regional qualifiers. As, Lumao going down low. Remember, there's no heal. The Ignite burns down. That's first blood. iBoy says, bring it on.
And Mako says, it's not about Scout. I know we gave him the LeBlanc. I know that Frost just hyped him up. But reminder, I am still on Alistar. This is a champion that people used to permaban away from me. And I will make my presence felt. And
it should be remembered that when Mako first joined the LPL in 2015, that name was on aggressive supports. Quick flash engage, Annie, Zyra, Alistar, Thresh. And while Thresh hasn't been meta for a long time, along with the Zyra and the Annie, this Alistar has always been a big pick for him. And here we just see Lumao going in, and Mako just turns it around.
Yeah, just having the aggression. Again, the fact that Lumao didn't have his flash previously because Haro burned it, and Mako is able to capitalize. Now, what I'm very curious about is if Mako is just going to continue to sit in that lane. Are they going to continue to try to punish Lumao not having the flash, repeated kills down there with Haro, or if Mako is going to team up with Haro and look mid? But quickly, bottom, 3v3.
Sonic wave, yeah, Clid is trying to go in and push the wave. I don't think they saw Haro there as Clid is forced to back out. He's still got his flash. Undertow is dodged with another one. And JD investing to try and defend, but they end up losing more.
We called the Lee Sin ambitious, if you will.
Yeah.
And I think that was certainly ambitious. Just kind of arrogant, walks into the wave. You said it yourself, they're trying to force it in because they want to make it bounce, reset it, not have this type of hold, which is what iBoy and Mako are setting up now, trying to build the wave. And instead, doesn't respect that Haro's there, burns his flash, and kind of a head scratcher.
Pays the price, as he does have to flash away, and that significantly weakens the effect of Lee Sin for these early ganks. And Ray even controlling Scuttle Crab up top along with Scout. Already you can see the change in pace, as not only are EDG taking advantage in the bottom lane, but they're using pressure mid and top to control the river and starting to press that into the jungle of Clid, further denying JD's ability to get back in.
Starting to hold ranks, if you will, kind of cover some of their exposed flanks and stand much stronger. Again, there's just this intangible something about the machine that is Edward Gaming, how many championships they forge in the LPL. And we said that they wouldn't go quietly on the night in game number 2, and it feels like in game number 3 that's going to continue to extend. A very different early game than we've seen so far this series. Edward Gaming looking much more stable.
Absolutely taking control of this matchup early on and putting the hurt onto JD in multiple lanes and multiple matchups. They still need to close this series out, though, and it's still, sorry, they still need to close this game out before they can start looking for the series.
It's a long ways off.
It's a long way to go. We're 7 minutes in, and that's still a Kaisa. That's still massive long-range engage from JD. If they ever find someone out of position, they can almost certainly punish them. But we've got a roam from Yagao as Loken gets caught by the snare and destroyed by Mako and iBoy's burst. Yagao immediately turns tail and runs.
And it just looks too easy. Loken just died with, I believe, both summoners up. Nope, his heal is just about to come off of cooldown. But meanwhile, top.
That's the pick onto Ray, but a quick knockback as Ray gets the outplay.
So I said that you can't stop the call of the Forge God unless you do that.
Turns out you can. Puts a damper on that horn as Yagao and Lumao.
Just longer range. Just going to take another step back.
Exactly. And that pressure is starting to pay off. You've just got the giggles now.
It was funny.
It was.
Because you know Zoom was like, got him now.
I have you in my sights. But then, much like the Millennium Falcon, Ray just sends Vader off into the distance. and still manages to hold his own in this wave.
Can't change sides now. They're already the Death Star. You've already made Edward Gaming out to be the Empire.
Yes, they are. Fair.
TIE Fighter. It's fine.
Yeah. But 2 kills to 0 for EDG, both of them in the bottom lane. Loken brought into the mid lane to catch a minion wave as he has been stalled out behind iBoy and will try to force this wave against Scout, who's happy to catch it, and slowly but surely JD are trying to scramble and get some vision back. But all of whatever set plays they had for this game have effectively been denied. Now we get to see something a bit scary for JD Gaming, some improv.
Yeah, and it feels like it is quite scattered for them. So right now they're just trying to grab any sort of available form that they would have on the map, as well as securing their defensive vision and trying to flush out Edward Gaming. Now, it's not the 10-minute play, it's the 9-minute and 6-second play. But Loken's like, I am done with bottom lane. It is no longer fun for me. I'm a Kaisa. I need to sit. I need to farm. Get me away from Mako's Alistar.
And how perfect it is that he's using the infamous Uzi Chroma, the Obsidian Bullet Angel, against iBoy, who so historically had bad matchups against Uzi. That does mean that iBoy and the rest of EDG are going to get first brick down bottom, though Loken's trying to match.
And the interesting thing here is that this tower will fall down first for Edward Gaming. Mako again went for the mobility boots. It's not on Leona, now it's on Alistar, and he is unleashed on this map, and he is angry.
Now Ray has found Clid and is absolutely fearless as he's patrolling around to maintain vision. EDG still taking the next objective off the back of this. With Ray patrolling around the Rift Herald to prevent a double trade from JD, Edward Gaming are going to come up 2-1 as they break down the bottom tier 1 and take this Mountain Dragon, and still JD haven't taken top. It's 2-0 for now. I mean, if JD inevitably take that top turret, it'll go to 2-1.
And the nice thing is that Ray still has access to his ultimate, so he could actually continue to delay this if he wants by just pushing them away.
Still patrolling around that lane, around that Rift Herald. Yagao locked down in the mid lane on that Malzahar, cannot help it out. And the rotation is completed from iBoy and Mako as they head top and catch the wave in time, losing only a single minion. EDG are able to find the macro outplay off the back of JD rotating away from the bottom lane.
And it's created advantages in pretty much every single position. CS, Dragon, Tower, Gold. Edward Gaming, much healthier, much better this time around, and on a very different carry and very different breakpoints. I feel like a huge issue with the Kaisa pick is that they never found the pocket in which Kaisa was strong to try to force fights. With Xayah, there's much clearer windows, and they have, I feel like, a bit more flexibility. Like, I understand the power of Kaisa. I love watching Kaisa. You give Uzi Kaisa, I'll watch all those games all day. But for iBoy, for Edward Gaming, I just don't like the pick. They haven't been effective on it, and I feel like the rotation into Xayah is much better.
And
much more
this is
stable.
putting Edward Gaming into a very happy position as they turn their attention towards the top lane. Clid is actually hovering around the mid as he might be looking for a bait onto Scout. That's the suppression. Sonic Wave. Looking for it. Flash kick to knock it down. Clid finds himself with a kill over Scout.
And that's usually how that should work. When you have a Lee Sin and a Malzahar, you're looking at level 6, and you're looking at that lockdown and the burst damage, because Lee Sin should be able to 100% rotate and just instantly kill the LeBlanc. Didn't want to necessarily burn the flash, but does so in case and also trades flash for flash.
You do what
steps.
you have to.
Yeah.
If to finally get a kill on the board, it's still a 2,000 gold lead for Edward Gaming off of a single turret and those CS advantages that they've got all across the map. But still, Zoom feeling rather happy with his own CS advantage against Ray. But what's he doing with it? He's just holding Ray in lane, and we're still seeing Ray roam around. He even got to that mid lane just a few seconds after Scout died, so still good maneuverability from Edward Gaming to set up their carries. Now they just need to actually knock it down and close this game out as Zoom once again trades with Ray.
Doesn't feel like he's winning a lot of these trades. Again, for me, it's how Zoom is going to play around the Poppy ultimate to make sure that he can get the Call of the Forge God off. And I feel like everyone's going to be looking towards the top lane, towards the Rift Herald. You can see that Edward Gaming, ping, ping, ping. They want that Rift Herald. They want to start moving in and placing vision. It's exactly where Mako is rushing to right now. And this could, if JD Gaming decide to put their foot down, turn into a big 4v4 or a 5v5. Now, my concern for JD Gaming is the itemization difference between Loken and between iBoy right now. You have the initial item completed for Xayah. I'm sure that Loken is trying to back right now, and hopefully he has enough gold for it. But this should be the window and the go-ahead for Edward Gaming to make a play somewhere.
Mako even stopping the recall as that's the Ethereal Chains landing. Luden's Echo Haro looking to chase, but Yagao sidesteps the undertow. And that's Ignite used by Scout as he's able to pop out of vision with mid lane being held and now pushed in. No item still yet from Loken, no item yet from Yagao. EDG look to turn that momentum into something tangible as they look for the top tier 1.
And here comes, I believe, the teleport from Yagao.
Trying to step up and defend to hold it as he simply walks back and forces EDG to play the numbers game. They've still got control over the river, though there is a control ward in that Rift Herald pick. And the next wave is on the way.
And how much are Edward Gaming going to try to force with this tower? I think that Mako and iBoy should actually just fall back from the structure now that multiple members are top and try to commit to this Rift Herald play.
Teleport is ready for Zoom, but like you said, the Rift Herald is the play. Scout pushes up mid with blue buff still rather healthy after his trade against Yagao. And with Mako smacking that ward to get rid of it. And that should be the Herald for EDG.
Yeah, the important thing here is that Loken didn't get the buy. It was stalled out long enough, so he doesn't have the itemization to compete. Now the Rage Blade has come in for the Kai'Sa, but she's too far away. So expertly juggled from Edward Gaming to make sure that Kai'Sa was locked down in the lane, couldn't get the back when she wanted to. They then forced out the mid laner and then used that numbers advantage to secure the Herald, which top tower's down, bot tower's down. That Herald's going mid.
Oh yeah. Forcing Yagao into a very uncomfortable position. Now he's got blue buff and is trying to control the mid lane, but Dragon's up in 90 seconds and already with one item completed from Edward Gaming, they might be looking for a second. No one's defending mid right now. The Clid is trying to sneak into the enemy jungle alongside Zoom.
Were they spotted by that vision?
They have absolutely been spotted by that ward.
Oh,
and now they see Yagao. And here you go. Another ward. Oh god, JD. They're looking for it. Look at that. The ping's onto the mid lane. Rift Herald is still in Yaharo's pocket. He actually completed the recall, so JD will have time to rotate back towards it, but they absolutely see this coming. They still fall prey to it. Call of the Forge God Scouts getting out of there. Dodges the sidestep. Ignite burning down, but that's iBoy getting in. They manage to pin Zoom against the wall. He flashes Race, keeps him in place with a knockup, and Haro follows through for the slam dunk reckless swing kill.
Almost disaster there for a second for EDG, but they managed to find the kill. Haro flashes the wall, places the Rift Herald, and the charge commences. And that's JD Gaming out of position with multiple members. In fact, they're going to pull Loken and say, no, you need to keep pushing top.
But look who's matching him. Scout on the way as Ray flanks around from behind. The mid-tier 1 is broken, and Shelly is looking for a second charge as Loken's actually going for the chase. Remember, there's distortion. He chases one more auto, and he gets it. Loken styling on Scout.
And where is this confidence and this momentum coming from? Loken just 2 splits ago would have been one of the worst ADCs in the league. When I did my top 10 list for ADCs, he didn't even make it. And now he just solo killed Scout.
Lands the Void Seeker, and all you need is 3 auto attacks to get the final plasma stacks. As top tier 1 finally broken, and JD are still in this game. Down 2,000 gold, but they are not out of the race.
You can still feel that fire as we take another look at this engagement here. And again, reminder, Edward Gaming knew that they were here. They pinged everything out. It looks disastrous for a second, but Scout is able to close the distance. I believe he also gets a heal from iBoy on his exit out to survive and not trade any 1-for-1.
Now the Dragon is being engaged by Edward Gaming. Zoom looking for a knockup, finds it on 2. Cask onto iBoy, knocks him back in. With that burn, though, those Malefic Visions, nothing happens, and Loken's still heading top to defend.
But the reoccurring trend is that Loken is heading top. He is not into these team fights, which makes sense. Kai'Sa's still looking for those big break points. She wants to grab the free farm, and someone needs to stand across. But these lane assignments are punishing JD as they continue to look for these 4v4s.
And that means that EDG are able to take objectives like that Mountain Dragon, like that Ocean Dragon, and more importantly, control both mid and bottom lane. The only strength that JD have is the scaling of that Kai'Sa right now, though Yagao working towards his Archangels. Iceborne Gauntlet finished for Zoom a short while ago. It's still going to be a very risky gambit if JD want to take a fight without those items. But Baron's coming up in 3 minutes, and EDG have already got a Mountain. And item number 2 nearly done for iBoy. The clock is ticking for JD.
Tick, tick, tick. At this point in the game, Scout can start playing some of these side lanes as well. Loken has been acquiring a lot of this EXP and farm to the side lane, but Scout should start hunting him. I think he's going to feel very confident to do so. And there's still so much damage and engage tools left with the other 4 members of EDG that they don't need to rely on Scout. iBoy's going to hit his breakpoint where he's going to have access to 2 items. I believe he's on 1.5 right now, right before his next back. Whereas, again, Kai'Sa's now backing now. Will probably have some components of her second item, but Loken is just so far behind iBoy that JDG are just scrambling to make up time.
I believe those were the top 3 fan votes that you just saw on your screen. With Clear Love removed, he loses seniority and the chance to get in on this graphic, which means it's iBoy, Zoom, and Yagao.
EDG turned on him. The fans are turning on him.
Yeah. As red buff gets passed over towards Loken, still JD are trying to defend as they maneuver around the map. 90 seconds till Baron, but some big items on the way for EDG. And more importantly, there's not a lot of vision for JD if they want to sit back and defend. Like you said, if Scout wants to hunt somebody down, he's got a lot of opportunities to do so.
And he's been fishing for it in that river. You know, he's kind of sneaking around the jungle. He's
we even saw him looking for Zoom just a moment ago.
He's probably going to be up there. Now, who I do want to turn my attention to, however, and just kind of quick notes while the game slows down a bit, is Haro. You know, I said it myself during Champions League. I'm like, oh, you send Haro into this? How is he ever going to find his confidence? You're basically setting him up for failure. So much pressure.
He's the person who was pulled off in the spring finals.
The weight of a dynasty is literally sitting on his shoulders from a massive disadvantage, and he's expected to perform, and he's done so so far so beautifully. He set up the bottom lane for so much success with his early ganks. He then gave Scout a lot of love to try to turn that matchup back around. So still sitting 1-0-0. It's not necessarily reflected in his scoreline, but I do like how Haro has tried to make his presence felt across the map and put Edward Gaming on a different type of footing.
Seems like Edward Gaming are trying to expand off of that footing that they've got right now, open up more and more of the map. Loken going straight into that AP Kai'Sa. No wishy-washying with that Stormrazor. Knows that he's got one job, and that's to destroy people in mid-game teamfights, especially after how that early lane went. It's very easy to just transition. I think off of his first death, he bought a BF sword, sold it, and bought the pickaxe instead so that he could look for the transition towards this AP Kai'Sa.
This, unfortunately, though, is one of the JD Gaming compositions, and it happens sometimes, very, very rarely, where I just don't like the tools that they have. And it's primarily the Lee Sin, although I'll hold my breath because maybe he's going to do something crazy. Yeah,
and that's one of the weaknesses of this composition right here, is without everyone grouped up, EDG are able to lunge forward, get some good damage onto the mid-tier 2, but now Loken is grouped up. Ray is sitting on the side, trying to dodge that vision. Not sure if he's able to completely. But here comes the next wave. Scout ready with a flank.
So also rapid fire available for iBoy.
Scout walks forward. Turret finished off. As you said, the RFC not even needed there. As Edward Gaming, 4 turrets to 1 are opening up the map. But Baron has spawned.
And JD Gaming recognizing that they couldn't look for the fight there. If it all goes sideways, if it's not the perfect circumstance, then they basically lose the game there because Edward Gaming would take the fight and then transition it into the Baron. So both teams are very aware of the knife's edge that we really sit on.
It's another Void Seeker. Loken's got his flash back up, but still sitting on only the Stinger. No completed Nashor's Tooth yet, as JD are doing everything they can. This is almost looks like JD have swapped sides with Edward Gaming from that game to defend Loken, but they're doing it successfully.
Yeah, and just being very aggressive with their vision control, and most importantly, holding their defensive vision. 3 control wards on the back of the Baron pit. They have a Lee Sin, they have a Malzahar, and they have a Kai'Sa who has a lot of AP. So they're trying to hunt for these big picks, and they need the vision control to do so. So if EDG, the next move, they need to start flushing this out, but they should be playing around the Mountain Dragon first. So JD Gaming, I don't want them to take the Mountain Dragon fight. Just give it up unless it's the perfect circumstance. It's not worth losing the game over, because again, the next team fight probably means the Baron.
I mean, still, Loken doesn't even have his Nashor's Tooth finished off of that recall, sitting on the Fiendish Codex. So without that, it's still 1,000 gold to go for Loken before he finally completes that item, and 30 seconds for the Mountain Dragon and iBoy at 2.5 items.
And again, this should just be a free mountain for EDG unless JD Gaming just get the perfect engagement. I don't want them to go anywhere near this. You've placed so much of your gold, so much of your attention, and so much of your focus around that Baron. Don't leave the safe zone for Mountain Dragon.
Zoom is spotting this, and Nashor's Tooth was just picked up by Loken as he's making his way out of base. JD are on the way.
Oh no!
As the fan vote sends Yagao all the way to the top. But
let it go.
Here they go.
There they go.
Onto the mountain.
Those are the pings I like to see. The on-the-way pings towards Baron.
They're actually rushing towards it. You're absolutely right. As Haro finishes it off, the Dragon is picked up. JD taking their time, clearing out this vision of Edward Gaming to make sure that this Baron is safe.
Not sweeping it though, so still one ward sitting in the very pocket there as Zoom.
That's actually called the Forge God as Loken is there. Is he going to take the chase? He's got Killer Instinct, lands the Plasma and chases, but gets bonked by Ray. Lands more Plasma.
Look at Edward Gaming.
They're turning towards the Baron, but instead decide not to engage it.
And the control vision is what saves JD Gaming there. The fact that Mako doesn't have vision sitting in his inventory, you can see he's making the back right now, probably to pick up some wards. And it was the fact that all of the control vision behind the pit meant that they didn't know where Clid was. So EDG didn't want to take the gamble, didn't want to roll the dice, and then try to make time over Ray, extending Loken down bottom to force the Baron.
And that was a well-rehearsed play from JD Gaming. This is one of those set plays we talk about. Usually you see it between the 9 to 15-minute mark during the laning phase, but sometimes it rears its head as Zoom just lands CC on the enemy top laner and Loken on Kai'Sa. Killer Instincts in from max range, but Ray with 2 key plays lands the hammer to knock Zoom back and then puts up the aura in time to catch Kai'Sa. That's a very fast animation, but he was still able to predict it.
And what's really interesting about both these compositions as we continue to zoom in on the Baron play is both these comps' ability to turn off the Baron with a lot of their mobility and a lot of their lockdown.
Clid could be in trouble here. Tries to get the ward hop over the wall, but instead forced to flash, but he does get away from the ethereal chain.
That was too close.
Ooh. He escapes from the tether in time, but EDG, they've done it once. They've set up vision around the Baron. Can they convert it into the objective?
And they can continue to use this lure because, again, the composition and the tools that both teams have that when they start Baron, their ability to turn off of the Baron. Things like the Pulverize, things like the Distortion, things like Olaf's ultimate. They don't have to be settled onto this and try to go for the steal. You want Mako to either zone Clid off if they want to try to force the Baron down, or you want Mako to immediately turn, start the team fight, and have all of Edward Gaming follow.
It's a double mountain for Edward Gaming and an ocean, the perfect dragon setup for them to keep on going on and off of this Baron to keep JD away from their waves. Even Zoom trading with Ray to see who can get better push, who can get the better teleport position, or perhaps even cancel the enemy's teleport. But Edward Gaming still just playing around this vision, playing around JD, and then testing their patience.
Exactly, and then it's JD Gaming about how patient they're going to be, that they can hold long enough for Kai'Sa to continue to pick up items. Says, hello.
This could be bad. Oh no, the headbutt gets denied. Ray, he actually gets the blue buff through all of that too. Steps up and actually gets out with the blue buff and the nether grasp. JD Gaming invests a lot and end up losing.
EDG, knowing that Malzahar's ultimate is down, should actually confidently move into this pit and, again, try to force the fight. It's not necessarily securing the Baron. If JD Gaming don't show up, yeah, you take it for free, but it's trying to lure the fight, knowing that Yagao doesn't have access to a key ultimate.
And take a look at Ray's items. He's got Merc Treads and had just a single Null Magic Mantle that is only now completed into a Spectre's Cowl and another Null Magic Mantle. If Yagao wasn't able to do that much damage on the Malzahar with 2 full items, I might add, things could be a mite dicey in these team fights, especially if Loken is also going towards AP and looks to be looking for the Zanya's Hourglass third.
I just feel like so many eggs were put into the Loken basket onto this Kai'Sa, and I just don't like the rest of JD's composition. And again, it happens sometimes, but it is so rare to see this type of comp. Because Clid, what's he going to hit? He's got, where's the late game Lee Sin pick? He's got no viable targets.
Hi, boy. Get him to burn a flash and the ultimate.
Yeah, but you still have to hit him.
And the QSS is, Lumao forced to get out of the wall. Cast knocks it away, but Ignite! Ah! The heal from Loken and the shield keeps Lumao alive. But that's 2 summoner spells once again, and Ray is still working on Zoom down here. So they're just trading abilities over and over. No one's going to interact with this wet noodle fight. But Lumao's got to get back out of the map with no flash. And JD, like we said, they keep on moving and testing. EDG keep on testing JD's patience.
JD Gaming are running on fumes right now. I feel like they are running out of so many options, and it won't really turn around until Loken is the big guy who steps up. And until they're ready for that point, they're going to continue to sit in this. And Edward Gaming, they have this massive window, and they need to take it right now where they are stronger than the Kai'Sa.
They are much stronger. 2 full items completed on Scout. Looking at 2 items on iBoy as he's turning towards that Infinity Edge next. Now the Sonic Wave landed, but Scout just double distorts away as Clid walks in and they fight over Vision. Zoom actually getting the better of a trade here, but still forced to turn and run as Ray is being an absolute pest.
Zoom no longer feels much better about not having the likes of the Aatrox up there.
Yeah, really wants that Aatrox. I mean, he took 4 top lane bans in this game.
Where's the 5th one?
Yeah, come on. Got to leave something open for somebody else. But I guess that's the trade. If EDG are able to reflect on this series and adapt to the changes, is it as simple as banning away Zoom's champion pool, putting him on a tank and something effective, and keeping the rest of JD locked down?
I think it's understanding that Ray, while he can play the carries, Edward Gaming are not effective with Ray playing the carries. They're much more effective with him playing the tanks, whereas carries for Zoom mean much more. So it feels like EDG are finally recognizing, let's just make it a tank versus tank matchup. If they want to play defensive or anything bottom, we'll either find the kills or we'll just scale up with them. So it's trying to neutralize kind of the one area on the map that EDG didn't win, which was the top side.
And it is very effectively neutralized. Only 6 CS advantage for Zoom right now, closer to 10 as it keeps on oscillating back and forth between waves. But he's getting the faster rotations. He's getting the ability to lock Zoom down. And that's unlocking EDG to play around the Baron pit as they step forward, clear out the vision and take the red buff. But look at how scared Lumao and Clid have to play, dodging in and out, bobbing and weaving. Lumao is level 9. Scout is level 15, 6 levels ahead, and Ray is level 16.
And it's just like over in the LCK, KT finding a game back against Griffin. Edward Gaming also finding their second win and trying to get themselves back into this series as they start the Baron.
Call of the Forge God. Mako over the wall, gets Clid out of there, but it's down to 1,500 health, 1,000. Picked up by Haro. Yagao steps up. Loken looking for some damage, but Scout is right behind him. Yagao burning down. Loken forced to flash out of this as the chains go wide, and he gets juked by Scout. Pulled out of the fight, but that leaves Zoom and Yagao to die. They chase and follow through as Loken is running for his life. Clid trying to get him out of there, but it's 2 members of JD dead and the Baron for EDG.
The composition that JD are running just cannot crack what Edward Gaming have. They now have the Baron, they have the gold lead, they have a much easier composition to execute, and all of the gold exactly where they need it. This should just be a very easy steamroll, and it feels like the bat signal was correct. Batman has come to save the day, and Haro is going to take them into a game 4.
1-0 and 2. They bring the minion wave and break down the middle inhibitor and its turret. No flash for Loken, and there is a LeBlanc on the enemy team. He's got to play it so safe, but EDG take their time. They break up the inhib. They know they've still got 2 minutes and 30 seconds on the buff, so they're going to buy their items and close this outright.
And just very quickly, buying the items, spending the gold like you're saying. I expected them to take the mountain, or the Ocean Dragon as well, but I think they can do it with one person. In fact, a ping just went on him. He's taking Raptor Cam. Classic iBoy. It's fine. Edward Gaming play this pretty picture perfect. The fact that Mako is on the back half of the pit, it does get a little bit dicey because then you don't have Mako there available to look for this engage, but he hops back across the wall. He's already kicked away the other jungler alongside Poppy, and it's just an easy cleanup fight as what the hell is Lee Sin ever gonna do here?
Yeah. Flash away, it seems like, was the answer. But now 2 minutes are on the clock. Recall completed. Storm Razors for iBoy. The QSS still stacked up along with the 2 items for Scout. Adaptive Helm now for Ray.
And EDG they're not even looking at this Ocean Dragon. They've got most of the members top. In fact, they're trying to grab the top tower. It feels like they want to end the game on this Baron. They don't want this extend towards an Elder type of situation.
Again, they do have those 3 elementals, so even in that regard, they are favored as, again, there's just nothing they can do against Ray. They're investing so much to try and get him, but he is so good at absorbing pressure on this Poppy and even taking a good trade against Yagao. But like you said, they're looking for the top tier 2. Scout, iBoy, and Mako bring the wave up, and there's nothing JD can do to defend it. Now, Loken has finished off a Banshee, so it is a defensive item 3rd. So he's going to have a real tough time killing Haro and Ray. But he can get iBoy and Scout if he gets lucky.
All eyes on Mako. He's going to end this, and I feel like Edward Gaming want to end this right now as they're pulling both Ray and Haro up towards the middle side of the map. As soon as that Alistar goes in, depending on what he catches, EDG are going to fly in after him.
Haro's on the side. Loken trying to clear out the wave with those plasma stacks, but with Baron buff, it is so reduced. Yagao and Clid moving back and forth. Clid looks for the Sonic wave, but finds a minion. Zoom steps up and immediately gets CC'd. Look at the damage and cast separates the fight. Scout gets brought in and he's dead. But now iBoy is still up. Somehow Lumao is able to find him. Ray still looking for the fight. He gets revenge against Lumao. Loken finding some more damage, but it is nowhere near enough against this massive Poppy as this next inhibitor is broken.
And I'm curious if Edward Gaming are going to continue to push. I thought that they might try to end up this
walks
Baron.
up, he looks for it, he goes a little bit too far. Loken doesn't take the killer instinct though. With one plasma stack left, it is not procced and he survives. He's got no summoner spells, but Mako needs to be there to defend him. They turn onto the Nexus turrets. Edward Gaming trying to finish this game off and get themselves at least on the board in this series. As Loken trying to turn onto Ray, he can't do anything. They're finishing things off. Mako has found Clit on the side, pinned against the wall. Yagao trying to go in, but it's nowhere near enough. Edward Gaming, the Dynasty stands strong as Loken steps into the back. They get another grasp. Haro trying to stall it out. A double kill for iBoy as Edward Gaming will finish things off, finally on the board.
Thumbs up, just right underneath the wire. They pull off Clear Love. They say, okay, we're against this new generation of these young, upcoming talents. It's time for the old generation to let go. Clear Love, you're out. Haro, you're in. And Edward Gaming are back in this series.
And though the narrative stays similar, the actual chorus changes, as you've said. It's the new blood, it's the young players coming in and showing that they can succeed, that they can be the ones to present victory as Edward Gaming bring in Haro, the member who they pulled out in the spring split finals against Royal Never Give Up to put Clear Love back in. But now the tables have turned and Haro is the trump card.
Trust in the future and have your trust fall in Haro. EDG looked like a completely different monster. Yes, some of the champions chained up. I love the fact that they moved towards the Xayah. I love the fact that Mako got the big power pick like the Alistar. Keep all of these fundamentals. Keep that fire, keep that passion. Because while we expect that EDG can stand strong here, they need to do it again. There's still only one game in this series.
It would be a reverse sweep if they could, but now it's time for our analysts to break down that EDG victory.
All right, there we go. We've got a series. I was like, there's no way we can have a 3-0 sweep coming out here from JD. At least give us a little bit of fight here,
something.
EDG. Give us anything. Haro comes in, you're right, he was the trump card, but it was a lot of other things changing around it. The draft also changed up from them. The fact that we had Mako making multiple plays in the bottom lane. The team looked rejuvenated heading into Game 3.
I like that you said Mako, because honestly it was just refocusing of the team. What made us good? Now initially I said Scout, and I think that Scout did have a good game this one. But focusing as a squad towards the bottom lane is what garnered them a lot of victories early on in the summer split, because it was Haro in the game.
Yep.
And then you were like, all right, Alistar for Mako. And it would just be iBoy and Mako just winning lanes fairly quickly early on in the game. And then they would bring in Haro, because Haro was tied one way or another to the bottom lane. That's what happened this game around. Sure, a lot of DPS wasn't there for Haro, but he had the control necessary to make it so iBoy could dive in alongside Mako.
Yeah, that's the important thing, because I know back in spring, Haro was only being given Clear Love champions. It's like they were trying to turn him into Clear Love 2.0, but then you come into summer, he actually picks up something like an Olaf. You look at the Kindred as well, the Graves coming out of Haro. That's the stuff that we like to see. And then in the top side, I think Ray just had a fantastic game. You saw the damage coming out from that Poppy. So much damage on the team. It's just blasting people. I think the mechanics as well, just really great coming out from Ray. But again, it just seemed like a mental reset coming out from the team, which is funny, right? Like if you're swapping Clear out of the roster, you're expecting the reverse to happen. You know, Clear's meant to come in as the veteran guy to be like, hey, all right, let's get it together. Look, he's meant to be the special source, but Haro did the same thing.
I don't care who you are. If you're 0-2 down in the series, you're going to be down in the dumps. I'm just saying, having the mental refresh of just adding in another jungler, I know that's the RNG special between MLXG and Karsa.
Yep.
You get to that final game, bring in someone else, because remember, they've been talking to the coach, Coach Nofe in the back, discussing a lot of just who's jungling, look at that play style, what I want you to do, and Nofe sent him out. And so having the pressure around the Baron side is really what really blew the game open. It was just that complete control wards around the top side of the map, so just it was difficult if you're JDG trying to puncture that.
It was, for sure, because EDG really didn't have anything going into those first two games. You know, you'd be looking towards a weakness from JD, and we said that would be the Baron. Clearly wasn't there in those two games. I mean, they were confirming vision around the area. They executed well. They made decisive calls around the Baron buff. Right now, EDG make their own good plays on towards Baron. They actually get the setup. They have the lead in the early game, and they keep it going. And again, setup was there, and so was the execution in the fight itself.
I just love, of course, Headbutt Pulverize coming out of there just saying, get the hell out. Poppy has been monumental in protecting that. Clid was completely out of this fight. And so I remember going into pick and ban, Frosk and Dom said something. It's probably a little bit too early to style. picking up Lee Sin, there was no option for him to really get in and engage later on in the game. Poppy is an obvious one. Poppy was picked into the Lee Sin, so you can just press your W. There's no way you're jumping in because your dash just doesn't influence it. And then Alistar, headbutt. I mean, just use all you need to do is pulverize, really. So there's just numerous picks there. Once EDG got the engage, that it was just incredibly awkward for the Lee Sin to find any ways into it. So he is purely for execution. Just Malzahar ulti somebody and see if your damage can come through. They got 1 kill off of that, and the rest was just substandard.
Yeah, I mean, that was it, really. Like, I saw a kill come out of a Lee Sin using his ult as an execute, as you said, versus him looking for, like, the insect plays, kicking someone towards the team. And then otherwise, he just couldn't find access at all. Yes, it does feel like styling. Obviously, Clid is one of the Lee Sin gods we have in the league. Him, flawless. You see them bring it out, and it's just like, and SOFM at the same time. You see them bring it out, and I respect it. You come into game 3, you could make it a sweep. Why not just give him a hype champion where you could just snowball the early game? Imagine if he picks up 2 kills in the early game. The game's pretty much done. They just make the sweep happen. Does it work out? We have a 2-game buffer, right? But at the same time, that gives EDG an inch. Just the fact that they've managed to find their way into the series now means that we could definitely go the full distance into a 5-game set.
And they found a focus bottom lane. So now it has to be JDG going into the back, discussing between Home and UDJ of what they need to do to counteract that in the bottom lane. I think Alistar, while a great pick from Mako, you can counteract that with a Braum. So I think that pick towards a Braum, a little bit more kite back. Loken is your late game scaling AD carry. He can bring it for you. Yeah,
iBoy as well will take our MVP in this one. And iBoy, I mean, also stepping up, not only just in the laning phase, but as the game went on right here. We didn't really see too much from iBoy in the first 2 games, honestly. He was just straight out what looked like to be outclassed by Loken and Lumao. What a sentence to say in the playoffs here in the summer split. The fact that you have Loken and Lumao giving it to iBoy.
It's just that earlier on, I'll say game 1, there was a lot of pressure bottom lane. Even in that 2v2, even if they didn't turn into a kill, they were already surrounded because there's a pressure happening in the jungle. So this time around, pressure was in their court. There was the jungler in the area, and so they could actually just move in and make the 2v2 matter. So immediately 100% kill participation because the team played around him. Well done. A job well done, I suppose, to the AD carry. I thought that he had a great game.
Yeah, support structure was there for iBoy, important stuff. And now EDG taking us to a game number 4. We are going to take a short break. When we get back, we'll see if EDG can make that dream happen.